In the next few minutes, I'm going to explain how to play the outro to the Red Hot Chili Peppers Under the Bridge. Before we begin, I'd like to say that I am in standard tuning, and I'm going to refer to my strings by their letter names. Before we begin, I'd like to go over 4 chords that the outro is based off of. The chord progression is going to start with a A chord. In this position, the A chord is played by placing your pointer finger on the 5th fret of your B string, and your middle finger will go on the 6th fret of your G string. Your G, B, and high E strings are played. Your high E is played open, so be sure that your pointer finger is curved so that it is not being touched by your fretting hand. So the A chord in this position will sound like this. Then we're going to play an A minor chord. It's going to be played by placing your middle finger on the 5th fret of your B, and your pointer finger will go above it on the 5th fret of your G. The high E string is played as well in this chord, so be sure that your middle finger is curved so that it does not touch your high E string. So the bottom 3 strings are played in this A minor chord. It will sound like this. The 3rd chord is the G6 chord. It's going to be played by placing your pointer finger on the 3rd fret of your B string and your middle finger on the 4th fret of your G string. The bottom 3 strings are played. The bottom string will be played open. And the 4th chord is going to be an F major 7. It's going to be played by placing your pointer finger on the 2nd fret of your G string and curve it so that it does not touch the B or high E strings, because those 2 strings need to be played open. So the F major 7 will sound like this. So what we're going to do is, that's the chord progression. It's going to go from A to A minor to G6, and then it's going to finish right there at the F major 7. We'll run through that 3 times, and then after the 3rd time, we're going to go to an E major chord and strum it a little bit. So I'm going to play this chord progression 3 times the way that it's played at real speed, and then I'm going to go to the E major chord and I'm going to play that at real speed as well. So it's going to sound like this. And after we play that E major chord, we're going to go right back to our A chord, and we're going to play it a couple of times. We're going to move to the A minor chord. Then one of the fills that you can do is immediately after the A minor, place your pointer finger on the 3rd fret of your high E string and pick that note, and then pull your finger off of the string. It will sound like this. And then pick the high E string once again. So that will sound like this. Then you can play your G6 chord, and then move to the F major 7. And then from here what you can do is you can play your B string open and hammer on to the 1st fret of the B. Then immediately after that, play your high E string open. Then play the 1st fret of the B. Then play the 2nd fret of your G. So that will sound like this. So all together, playing those chords and those 2 fills that I used with the pull off from the 3rd fret and then playing the open high E. And the second fill was me playing the open B string and hammering on to the 1st fret and leaving my finger there. Then playing the open high E, then picking the 1st fret of the B string, then placing my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string and playing that note. So all that right there will sound like this. And then, so you can do that, and there's another little fill you can do. You can play your A chord, then move to the A minor chord. Then what you want to do is stretch your ring finger up to the 7th fret of your D string and pick that note. Then take your pinky and place it over here on the here at the 8th fret of your B string. You're going to pick that note, And I've got my middle finger down on the 5th fret of the B. So I'm going to pick this note here and I'm going to pull my finger off so that that note is exposed on the 5th fret of the B. So that's going to sound like this. You'll have your fingers here in place for the A minor. You'll stretch your ring finger out, play the 7th fret of the D, then take your pinky and place it on the 8th fret of your B string, play it and pull off. And then you're just going to pick where your pointer finger is at the 5th fret of the G string. So it's going to sound like this, played slowly. Then you come down and form once again, your G6 chord. Then move to the F major 7. Then play that fill. Then you start back over. And to end the outro, you can play around with that and add those fills if you want. The last chord that you'll do is that after we run through our chord progression, say here on the F major 7, what you're going to do is play that last fill. You'll hammer on to the 1st fret of the B, then play the open high E, then play the 1st fret of the B, then play the 2nd fret of your G. Then you're going to end with an A major chord here with your pointer finger barred against the D, G, and B strings at the 2nd fret. Play those 3 notes to end it. So it'll sound like this at the very end.